record. Thank you very much. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the June session of the Men's National Community Health Worker Alliance. I'm Mike Young, president of this alliance, where we center the voices, health, and leadership of men who serve our communities. This month, we're talking about something that often gets overlooked: how fatherhood shapes not just our families, but also our health, identity, and well being as men. Our physical health, our mental health, our legacy, it's all connected. So, about our alliance brings together men from all walks of life committed to health, equity, peer leadership, and community transformation. Our vision statement is now empowering men as community health workers to lead with purpose and transform community health nationwide. I'll put a link to our website in the chat. But we're really excited to introduce today's guest speaker. For the title of today's session is Dad Bod, Fatherhood and Our Well-Being. We have Ray Hernandez with us. Going to give a nice wave, Ray? Yeah. So I'm honored to be co-facilitating today with Ray Hernandez, a Marine veteran, cattle rancher, public servant, educator, health worker, and fierce advocate for the Latino community. Ray is the proud son of Mexican immigrants and has dedicated over 30 years to service and outreach work supporting Latino families. From his early years helping his mother advocate for civil rights, to founding the Multicultural Forum in Arkansas, to his leadership in LULAC, awarding over $1 million in scholarships. Ray's life reflects a deep passion for breaking down barriers and building opportunity for all communities. Ray, we're grateful to have you with us today to share your wisdom on fatherhood, men's health, and community leadership. Is there anything else you want to add to that I didn't cover?
Thank you, Mike. Well, let's see. I could add that I am a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, and so I've experienced this fatherhood kind of thing.
Awesome. How many grandkids and how many great grandkids do you have?
I've got 4 grandsons and 12 great-grandchildren.
Wow. Amazing.
And the oldest of those is like 15 or 16 years old, so it's challenging times. Like every generation, we go through this new challenge and over again. So I've got a lot of experience, but what it takes just to communicate and get through to another generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of wisdom coming at you. Let's get a sense of who's in the room. Let's do a share out since there's only a handful of us right now. And if I don't know if we're going live on Facebook right now, but if you are, click on the link. You can join us actually, in real time. The link's on our Facebook. But for those of you with us, do you guys mind putting your cameras on? There's only so many of us here. But one thing I want to know is, what is your name, your location, your role? And then, what's one lesson fatherhood or father figures have taught you about your own health, right? So I'll start and then we'll start jumping around. For me, I know that what I do, my kids are watching, right? Like they see it. And if I know that talking about what I am feeling or going through is going to be good for them because it's going to show them that they should probably be talking about it and identifying and being open about, the way that they feel or what things are bothering them, and just showing them that it's okay to have issues, right? To be vulnerable in a way, right? To show that. So I think being the example and setting the tone for them is something that I learned a lot that I have to step up and do as a dad. So I'm gonna hand it off to, how about Donald? Hey, Donald, you're on mute. There you go.
It always happens.
All right.
But yeah, I'm Donald. I'm here in Arkansas. I work with Ray, and we work with the Fatherhood Fire and also LT Start. And what was the other question?
What's one lesson fatherhood or father figures have taught you about your own health?
My own house. So, I guess growing up, it's just always like watching my dad doing everything and all that. So probably oh, what's the word? But yeah, just anything that he did, it kind of changed, like make me want to be like him and all that. So follow his footstep on how to be a parent, I guess.
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Leslie, what would you tell us about yourself and uh, answer the question about fatherhood, health, how those two are related for you?
Hello, guys. My name is Leslie Moran. I'm a CHW in the Sumter area here in South Carolina, and helping the Latino community too. Um, and about the questions, I think we like mother and father, we are the example for our kids, and we are the first. I think the kids follow all the dad's doing, so we need to always try to do our best to get a um I mean be a good example for our kids. I think is that my answer.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Rebecca, are you able to share out?
Yes, I can share, but not my camera.
Fine.
I'm having a day over here. I'm Rebecca. I am a program manager with the South Carolina Community Health Worker Association. I do a lot of the Menchwa background stuff because I fully believe in this, and men's health is humanity's health in the long run. I used to be a fatherhood coordinator for the Midlands Healthy Start program, and doing that, it taught me the value of men's health and the father's health and the relationship it had with the family's health overall. Because if the dad is not healthy and active in the family, then the family does start to fall apart over time.
Absolutely. A rock. I like it. Um, Ray, and then take it away.
Ray, and take it away. Okay. Well, gosh, my parents actually separated when I was about 3 years of age, so I didn't really have a like a father figure. But the advantage to that was that I could imagine myself as being what I'd never had. So I set out to be the best husband, the best dad, the best granddad, and the best great grandfather that I could be. And I think I could attribute that all to my father, who gave me nothing to pattern myself on, which is probably good or bad. But as it turned out, it worked to my advantage. And even though I'm not perfect, I was a lot more involved and participatory in the lives of my children. What I learned about health through that experience is that having been a Marine, I learned that there's a difference between fitness and health. So you can be physically fit, muscular, run fast, and still fall over of a heart attack because, fitness does not equal health. And health means that you are able to continue living, that you are surviving, that you're capable of performing all the things that you'd like to do in life and for your family. So for me, health and fitness are uh, twin brothers from another mother, if you want to put it that way. But they're they're uh, they're never supposed to be treated as the same. And I think if we can get that message across to men, maybe the level of narcissism will start to go down, and the level of humanity and nourishment that men put out will be much better. And now, the thing that I brought to the meeting last time was a discussion a little bit about, the role of dads. And I think what's happened over time is fathers have been set aside when it comes to the involvement in pregnancy, involvement in delivery, and involvement in postpartum, or after the baby comes home. Definitely, they're very involved in the conception, but beyond that, dads are not expected to take a big role, and that comes to us from society pretty much. I was telling Micah that this phenomenon started happening way back in the 1920s and 1930s, when the women actually started having babies in the hospital. And before that, men were very involved in the process of having a child and bringing them into the world and trying to figure out how to make sure that mom survived the experience and was healthy throughout it all, and the children were able to grow and develop. But once women started having babies in hospitals, the birthing room became a sanitary place, and they only wanted professional medical people in there, doctors and nurses, doulas even, and there really was no place for the men. So what happened was men were sent down the hall to the smoking lounge, and they would hand out each other cigars when they heard what their baby was, and so we took their role away from them right from the inception back in the 20s. And then later on, in the 50s and 60s, during the women's movement, women started speaking up and say, hey, men need to have a role. Men need to be participating. Men need to be allowed to be part of this whole experience. And so there was a bit of a movement that started being more inclusive of men. There was men going to Lamaze classes, for instances, and learning how to help mom through her breathing during labor, and explaining to them what to look for afterwards, after the baby came home, and how to watch out for the health of the children. But that movement never got very strong until very recently. And over the last 2 decades, or maybe 3, I've noticed that the way that women bear children in the hospital even has changed. I worked at the local women's hospital here for a few years, and what was noticeable was that the men and the husband and the wife, or the couple, were in the hospital room, which looked like a hotel, or maybe a scene from somebody's home bedroom, and the men stayed during that birthing process. They weren't kicked out of the room and told to go down the hallway. They couldn't smoke in a hospital anyhow, so there certainly was no place for them to go smoke. So men started being a part of that birthing process. But through all of that, the one thing that I saw that wasn't happening was we weren't educating men on what their real role was, not only prior to delivery, but after delivery and when the baby came home. So I started looking into it a little bit, heard some speakers in other places, and it became apparent that we still kind of stigmatize the involvement of men in this whole birthing process. So I think what our job is now is to help redefine that role for men, help them get reinvited, help take away that stigma of men being involved in this whole process, and actually help persons like ourselves, healthcare workers and community health workers, to participate in that role of teaching a dad, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing when your partner becomes pregnant. This is what should be happening when they go to the hospital, and how you can assist in that process. And this is how you can take care of the mom's health and the baby's health once your baby gets home. So I've been trying to put together how we can convey that information, and came up recently with a little brochure that I've shared with Rebecca and Mike, and I think once I get that approved, it'll be something that we, at least a handout that we can give the men and say, okay, this is what defines your roles, and help them understand, how they can not only help the mother of the baby be healthy and the baby be healthy, but also how to take care of their own health, their mental health, physical health, and so on. Do I have any questions to this point?
We're going to see if we could pose a similar question out to see if any experiences are, within the people that are here with us. Let's see here. How can let's think of a question that we can phrase related to all that you just said. Maybe.
Well, I can tell you what my personal experience was. My 3 girls were born in Navy hospitals because I was serving as a Marine. And as soon as they went into labor, they disappeared behind the doors, and I didn't see them until there was a baby, and then I was allowed to come back in.
Yeah, I guess let's ask Leslie from your experience. What was the father's role in any of your children's at least birth process, right? Like basically because of clinical, kind of, or whatever it is. But we're not. Yeah, go ahead.
In my experience, sometimes the fathers know what's next, what's going on, but sometimes it's a new fathers. When it's a new fathers, it's everything new for them, and sometimes almost pass out the fathers because they um nervous and they never see a lot of blood, and I mean it's something strong for some people. um it's not that easy, but it's the people enjoy the moments. The people, they get more connections with the babies and with the wife, and get more respect to the wife. And I mean, when I that happened to me, I'm gotta make sure get more sensitive with the mom and with the baby, because I mentioned to them, hey, do you know how painful is that? Imagine that. And you see everything. I mean, it's not like you can explain what you see in the moment. It's very, very important. It's very it's something natural, but at the same time it's not that common to see every time. And every labor is different.
Yeah.
If you have 3 kids, every time is different. They can be different. So they need to enjoy. And when the fathers is like they have the second baby or the third baby, they know what's going on. But when it's the first one, it's very impressive for them. But
Yeah.
I always like mention to them, this is happening, it's coming this, but calm down, everything is okay, don't scare, and prepare the people. Is in my own experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really ties really well into a topic that Ray showed me for this presentation about the impacts on men's, like, our bodies during this as well. So getting men prepared for that. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
things, and Ray's going to talk us through some of those physical changes that we experience as men that are kind of unknown to us, that we might be
Yes.
unprepared. So it's good to keep these things in mind. I know that for me, I've gone through three births. There's a lot of anxiety happening,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of worry, and you're kind of in
Yeah.
a situation where you're not in power, you're not in control. So knowing how to handle that in the moment is something that's not exactly prepared. You're not really ready for that. So that's one thing, is like just kind of have to lean into it. But Ray, please show us that slide with that information that talks about the physical kind of changes that we go through.
Well, let me see if I can find it here really quickly and bring it up.
And for the Latino population, I think it's very important to learn or know or get that experience with someone in your own language. It's very important.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let me see if you're seeing the right thing on the screen.
Yes, we are.
You are okay. What I found out through my research and going back and finding out what I'd heard from other practitioners is there's actually a chemical and physiological effect that takes place inside of a man. You know, we know that there's a lot of chemistry changing in women as they have babies and through pregnancy. But the first time a man hears that he's going to become a father, if they're involved and attached to that birth, one of the things that they go through is a reduction in their testosterone levels. And I think nature does that so that it reduces their natural aggression and it promotes, nurturing behavior. One of the other things that men experience is increased oxytocin. Now, oxytocin is that bonding hormone that, when it goes up, gives the father a feeling of attachment to that baby, and it strengthens their bond with that baby. Another thing that happens to their body is they may have elevated prolactin. This hormone is typically associated with lactation, but it also raises the father's protective and caregiving behaviors. And then, finally, one of the other changes that men will see chemically in their body is their cortisol levels may fluctuate. Now, while a short-term fluctuation in cortisol helps fathers respond to an infant's distress or prolonged stress, so that means that when they hear the baby cry, they want to leap into action and do something to fix that. A prolonged stress and cortisol levels fluctuating like that can also lead to some negative effects in bonding. So, these are things that are happening inside a man's body as soon as they learn that they're having a baby, and they're more amplified with those dads that are more connected to the mother of their child and more connected in the family way with their child as well. And one of the other interesting things that we saw was sometimes men go through this sympathetic pregnancy syndrome, which causes them to have the same kind of symptoms that the women are having through pregnancy. So they'll have some weight gain. They may have some nausea or digestive issues. They may go into some mood swings. And definitely they'll have some sleep disturbances after the baby comes, but this can also come on before the baby's born. And these symptoms reflect a deep emotional connection between the father and the mother during pregnancy and highlights the need for physiological support. I don't know if I got anything else in there. Oh, there's some brain adaptations that the body goes through that I didn't quite understand as much, but the brain actually becomes more how did they put it? More flexible, more plastic. And I think that comes about, and the way they explained it is to be able to handle all the additional information that's coming in and may be able to understand how they should be reacting to different situations. So all those things are ways that the body is just, creating to let you know, hey, something's going on and you need to be participating. And sometimes that for men can be a strange thing, because, hey, what's going on with my body? How come I'm tearing up whenever I hear my baby cry? things like that. They just, if they know that those things are happening inside their body, they can maybe deal with them a little bit better.
Yeah, good information. And let's see here. Let's see what we can say. Um, as CHWs, right? So let's think as CHWs, how what kind of resources do you think we might want to distribute for fathers, and what is available out there? Thinking about engaging them in conversations of preventive care. What kinds of suggestions would you have as the CHW? Leslie, you can go, or Donald, or Rebecca. Well, you think I will? I know, for example, I just went through the Strengthening Families program. It's a nationwide program that it just changed curriculums, but now I think it's 10 weeks, 10 or 11 weeks, and it's for children ages 8 to 17. So parents of children that age, and every single week for I don't know 3 hours or one day a week. The families come together, and the kids separate and the parents are together, and they learn how to cope with certain issues that your children go through, or dealing with praise and discipline and listening, and just it's a really well designed program, and it's free. It's free to participate in. You can just kind of Google Strengthening Families program near you, and you get fed every single time, and also there's prizes that they give out to the families every single session. So it's a good bonding experience, but also good lessons for parenting, and I just went through it myself as a participant. I've actually facilitated it as well, but it's a great program, free parenting, big good resource. Any other ones that you guys would recommend?
I
Go
got
ahead.
something. Well, actually, Prisma give it to the families a lot of information for breastfeeding and everything, but it's more like for the mom, information for the baby and mom. The focus in Prisma is always mom and baby. Um, Fatherhood is like we have some resources in Sumter, but it's not like too frequent. I refer someone to that resources, but we have some resources in Sumter too.
Yes.
Yeah, I think even in our Healthy Start programs, there's a lot of focus on mom and what mom should do, and what mom should think about, and what mom should watch out for. And we forget sometimes that, even though mom brought the baby into the world, that there's two people that made that baby possible, and that we're leaving behind a whole resource. So one of the things that we try to let people know is that there is a role for the father. So the father's role is encouraging prenatal care and attending appointments. So the father can make sure that mom doesn't miss those appointments, that mom is actually encouraged to go to those appointments, and the father can go along and make sure that he hears the same thing that she's hearing, so he can assist in remembering what needs to be done. The fathers can also help manage stress through providing emotional reassurance and practical assistance with household chores. I mean, there comes a time when the household chores can be a difficult thing. If you're pregnant and you don't move so fast as you used to, or if you're required to do some bed rest, that means that the dad has to pick up those chores and be responsible for those things. Another thing is supporting the healthy behaviors such as balanced nutrition and exercise, and most importantly, rest, because those activities help mom recover quicker, help her stay mentally balanced, help them return to feeling normal again, and also learning about pregnancy milestones, not only postpartum, not only during pregnancy, but also postpartum, so they know what to watch out for, what kinds of things could come about that maybe mom would notice because she's too involved, or maybe she's may not be aware of that something serious is happening. It may be unaware of what possibilities are there. Because when you slide into a depression, for instance, you may not even feel that you're being depressed. You may just feel like you're overwhelmed a little bit. So those are the kinds of things that I think that we can make sure that the dad understands, that the dad knows that, hey, it's my job to watch out and be a second pair of eyes for the mother's health and also for the child's health. Learning what those milestones are for children, so that if a child isn't walking by a certain age or talking by a certain age, that they can bring it to the attention of a healthcare provider, make sure that they're taken care of.
Yeah, I think that. Um,
I know the hardest part about this is going to be trying to figure out how we're going to get dads involved. But I think the first thing we have to do is figure out how we, as healthcare providers or people that are in connection with that family, can make sure that dad isn't automatically being excluded. If you walk into a home visit and dad goes into the other room and sits down and watches TV, that's not very helpful for mom or for the family. And it may be that mom likes it that way. Moms, have the option to say, "Hey, I don't really want him in here. He's not helpful. He and I don't get along, or whatever." The mom should always have that option of saying, "Yes, let's exclude him. Let's keep him out of here." But if that's not what's going on, and he's just opting out because he doesn't know what to do, he doesn't know, this is a woman thing. He thinks he's not supposed to even be there. We can encourage him by saying, "Hey, yes, this is something you need to learn so that you can be watchful and making sure that not only the mother, but the baby are going to be fine."
And that's one thing I learned. I heard a really cool CHW story talking about, having the dads involved in the meetings, the checkups, the appointments, for the mother, but also for the child once the child is born. Having the men prioritize those events, those engagements, leads to intentional taking time off from work, right? If you have the luxury of doing that, it's highly encouraged, because when you do take that time off and you have it on your calendar, you look forward to it, right? It before the birth, it becomes an afternoon with the mother of your child, right? You can have lunch together, spend time together, right? And just, I mean, it's important, precious time. And then I've heard, once the child is born, it becomes this afternoon of engaging with your child, right? Going out for ice cream, going to the park, and having a nice connection with your child that I've heard that the children look forward to, right? Like, oh, daddy's gonna be there, and we're gonna do the park and turn it into a tradition. I've realized that traditions, like in terms of like repetitive behaviors and actions, really make my kids happy, right? Every Tuesday, I take my son to chess club, and my daughter comes too, because we start out with Pelican snow cones, and then we do chess club, and then we go to Costco for pizza, and then we go to an arcade, and we play pinball, and then we take them home, every Tuesday, right? So it's like, that to me is, I look forward to it. So it's like one of these things that if you just have these planned out importances, right? But starting at the pregnancy checkups and then well checkups for your kid, you know, it's going to benefit everybody involved. You know what I mean? I think stressing the importance of how you're really going to enjoy it. Like you're going to enjoy that. Take that time. People will always uh give you credit for putting attention towards your kid.
And
Sometimes sometimes a man being involved in some of that process doesn't look normal to other people. Like, what are you doing here? And I think we need to get normalize that again. I saw Kevin Hart in a movie about being a dad, and and some of the stuff that goes on in that movie is of course ridiculous because it's Kevin Hart, but it also emphasized the fact that, hey, when there's a dad who wants to be present, who wants to be available, we're still stigmatized to the point that we think that, hey, that isn't normal. What are you doing here? And this is a pregnancy class for moms, kind of thing. Was one of the statements in the movie, and he says I think this is a class for parents, and I'm a parent, and I need help with my child. Is what he was trying to say. So we need to let dads know that, hey, it's okay for them to be participatory and not to worry about feeling like they're stepping into a woman's world, just to be involved and be helping out with the health of the mom and the health of the baby.
We need to make dadding cool. All the aspects of dadding. What were you gonna say, Leslie?
I wanted to say something too. In the hospital in Prisma, it's very, very nice to say it because we help encourage to the dads to do the skin to skin with the baby. And that connection I think is the best. Moms and dads do the skin to skin with the baby is amazing, and they feel it, and um notice the change with the baby is more calm when it's skin to skin with the pap with dad or mom. And I think that little things Prisma do with the families make a lot of difference and get more close to the parents. And I mean, it's our babies. We need to take care of them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, the women's
yeah, yeah,
hospital that I worked at, they had something called the golden hour. That was the hour right after the baby was born,
yes.
and there was no other family allowed in the room. It was just mom, dad, and the baby, and
Mhm.
and maybe a doula to help them, coach them through the skin to skin and other kinds of things, helping the baby latch on and so on. But it
Yes.
was really their time before all the rest of the family came in and made over the baby and everything else. So it helped with the bonding process between dad and mom and dad and the baby. And so it really was, I applaud them for being so forward thinking, as to make sure that was a part of their policy.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember when my husband, well, my husband was in the military too, and we have that very nice experience with classes for parenting, and they show us how change the diaper, how our first bath for the baby. I mean, they show us a lot of everything, a little details, but they help us a lot. And in the I mean all the Air Force and all these they help a lot the new families especially. That was a very nice experience for me in particular.
I think what also another thing that we're talking about here is, this involvement in doing the skin to skin and I think encouraging men to ask questions, right? Like knowing what more can I do? What do you recommend? But I think it's going to take a little bit of that vulnerability on the man's part to admit that they don't know, right? Like it's okay to admit that you don't know what to do, and look for guidance from professionals, coaches, any sort of expert on the topic, because there could be opportunities that you just don't think to do, whether that be the skin to skin or different kinds of engagements and activities you can do in the hospital or just parenting in general, right? Like bonding, you never know. I think we just need to ask more questions. I see these commercials of all these games that you can play with your kids where it's like stacking cups with a ball on top, or a piece of paper with a hole in it and the ball rolls around, you're blowing. It's like those are things I would never think to do. So it's like finding unique ways to get involved and enjoy that engagement with your kids, play with them. I think asking, connecting, finding your favorite children's book. Do does anybody here have a favorite children's book that they love reading their kids? That was like a hit growing up. Anybody got one of those they want to share?
So my son's favorite is I Love You, Stinky Face. And when I was working as a father coordinator, I bought like a case of these books and I would hand it out to each of the dads. Yes, you have to find it. It's amazing. And even though it's a mom telling the story, I would have the dads change it to it's the dad telling the story. And they absolutely loved it because it embraces the goofiness of parenting and how there is unconditional love throughout it. I gave it to one dad while the mom was still pregnant, and the baby went to NICU, and this dad like was so excited when he found out he could do skin to skin with the baby, and he was like, "Can I read to the baby while I do skin to skin?" And I'm like, "You can do all the reading you want right now. Like do what you want, what feels natural." And so I didn't know he had packed the book, but he packed in I Love You, Stinky Face, and he'd rewritten it to match his relationship with this baby. And it was a magical moment.
Look it up for sure. Any other books, you guys? I have one I want to share, but Leslie or Ray?
Well, gosh, my children were born over 50 years ago, so now I don't remember any of the books. But one of my great grandchildren she loved Dora the Explorer, and we got her the whole series and everything else. And the one that she particularly liked is Dora Goes to the Beach, and we made her a promise when she was just 2 years old that we would take her to the beach. Unfortunately, we waited 10 or 11 years before we actually took her to a beach. But we also took that well-worn book with us to remind her that, hey, this is one of the promises that we made you, so we're finally keeping it.
That's awesome. Leslie, any ones that you remember?
My kids love the Dr. Seuss books. All the books, we have a collection of books, but they always choose the funny ones. I don't remember the names right now too. It's more than 20 years now too.
The one I want to share, I'm a big fan of, but I first want to say is that like this process of like reading and connecting with my kids, this activity, was something that I did during my marriage, but I have since, separated and divorced, and it almost feels like I get to bond with them on a higher level, like because I get to do it my way now, right? Like, and I just wanted to kind of mention that, like, parenting, fatherhood, it's going to look different for every family, and sometimes, parenting alone is actually the route in my case to take, right? Because I get to kind of connect with my kids the way that I feel like I need to. And one of the things that I've been doing is reading, until they fall asleep. But there's one book that I absolutely love. It's The Missing Piece Meets the Big O, and I've even got the tattoo right here because I love it so much. But it has this great message about who out there makes you whole, and who you are as a person, and how to achieve finding yourself. And it's just a Shel Silverstein, great author. there's another book called The Missing Piece, and it's the story of the little Pac-Man guy. So it's this whole double series book thing that I find amazing at any level, even for adults. I think this book is transformative. But I think, yeah, reading to kids is something I think is precious, and they look forward to it. I didn't know if it was going to stop at a certain age, but I'm still doing it. They're 7 and 9, and I figure I'm going to keep doing that until they tell me stop, Dad, because I like it. I like it, and it helps me, right? Like I feel like it helps my mental health, and my physical health, right? All of that's connected. Like my stress is down now, and truly, like my relationship with my kids is impacting my health in a positive way.
Yeah. Until they come home from college and say, Dad, can you help me read this calculus book?
Sure. And right now it's just kids' books, but nothing too difficult. We're coming to the end of our time. Any other thoughts that you might want to share, Ray, on the information that you've been covering?
Well, I think it's just important that we just remember that it took two people to create this life that we're bringing into the world, and we shouldn't exclude one of them, just because they aren't carrying a baby, or just because they don't have to go through the pain or the bleeding or the recovery, but we should take advantage of that fact, because quite frankly, 60% of the emotional health of the mom really depends on the mate, and the support that they get. And unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't come from the mate. It comes from the doula or the mother or an auntie or somebody else in the family. But it should be the first responsibility of the dad.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll end with this call to action. Let's carry this conversation into our daily lives, whether you're a father, mentor, son, or community leader. Take one small action this week to honor your health. Schedule a checkup, take a mental health break, or have a real conversation with another man about how you're doing. And so healthy fathers build healthy families, and healthy families build stronger communities. Thank you so much, Ray, for your time, your expertise, and putting together this presentation and having this talk. Thank you, Leslie, Rebecca, and thank your friend Donald for coming, and anybody else that's watching.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Ray.
great
Thank you,
day.
everyone.
Thanks, Ray. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.